Hi, my name is Megan Hartman, and I am a teacher here at Glenwood Springs High School. And I am going to try to go through the parent orientation pretty quickly for you right now. Feel free to pause this movie at any point in time to listen to things. And this presentation with all the active links can be found on the Glenwood Springs High School webpage. So here we go. We want to welcome you back to the Glenwood Springs High School and welcome you to the 2020-2021 school year. It's going to be a bit of a crazy year, but we're pretty excited, and your teachers have put in a whole lot of work. If you click on any of these live links in this presentation, not in this movie, but on the Google Slides that you'll be able to find on the school website, they'll be able to take you to a plethora of different resources. So this first one is about distance learning technology. And so you can find information on Schoology. These links are downloadable for documents, or you can watch a video. You can watch for videos about students or parents accessing, how to access Google Meet and some tips, how to use Remind, how to use Infinite Campus. Remind is a new platform for the Roaring Fork School District this year. Some of your teachers may have used it in years past, but this year we are using it district-wide, and it will be one of the main forms of communication between teachers and students and parents, and the school and students and parents. And it's pretty neat because a teacher can send you a message, you can message the teacher back, and it's pretty instant communication. Infinite Campus is where all grades are housed, and also where you'll be able to find your student's schedule, and you'll be able to check your contact information and make sure your contact information is correct. If your internet is not reliable, please click on these internet access option links for some resources that the Roaring Fork School District has put together to help make sure that all students have access to the internet so that they're able to engage in school. I kind of touched on this already. Expect to use Remind. This is why it's really crucial that your cell phone and your email address in Infinite Campus are correct, because all of that information is actually auto-populated into Remind. And what it allows teachers to do is a teacher can send you a text message, but they don't actually know your cell phone number and you don't actually know their cell phone number. So it allows for a little bit of space and kind of some separation there, which is nice to respect people's privacies. This link is pretty important. We understand that we are interacting with high school students, and sometimes things happen and Chromebooks break. And also Chromebooks are just not the sturdiest of things in the world. So if your student has any issue with their Chromebook, the letter P stops working, it stops charging, it won't turn on, or they lose their charger, they're going to want to click on this form. And I'm not actually going to click on it because we have to do a little work on the back end and fix it. It currently, well, I'll click on it. It says it's not accepting responses, but we will get that fixed and taken care of as soon as we possibly can. If your student loses or damages their charger, they will be fined $35 or a fee of $35. And if they lose or do not return their Chromebook, they will be given a fee of $250. And then other repairs end up being charged out at whatever that district replacement rate is. Mary Lamb is working pretty much full-time to help students with their Chromebooks and other things. But she is your main point of contact. So feel free to give her a call. That's her work phone number. Or send her an email at melam@rfschools.com, and she'll get back to you as soon as possible. But that form is going to be a great way for her to figure out what she needs to do to help you out. The free and reduced lunch form you should have gotten in your materials packet that you picked up this week. But if you're this fall, we are no longer able to just distribute meals to all students. We had a waiver for that in the spring, and that waiver is no longer in place. So if you are looking to receive school meals during the fall, you need to make sure to fill out this free and reduced lunch form so that you can get meals distributed appropriately. Um, Also, the free and reduced lunch form is a really great form for us to fill out even if you don't want school meals. It allows your students access to reduced fees for standardized tests like AP exams, and it also supplies the school with different funding opportunities based on kind of where we are and what percentage of our population qualifies for free and reduced lunch. So if you can, please make sure to take the time to fill that out and return it to the front office. The last date is September 28th. We've also received questions of, do I need to fill out, if I have a student in the elementary school, in the middle school, and in the high school, do I need to fill out 3 separate forms? And the answer is no. You just need to fill out 1 form per family. You can drop it off at any of the schools, actually, but it will allow your student to qualify. If they qualify, it'll allow them access to free and reduced meals, and then also amazing things like reduced fees for testing, etc. I'm going to actually open up this link because I was a little confused when I first saw it. This is the document showing drop-off locations and times, and you're going to want to make sure that you click on those different tabs along the bottom. So these are bus numbers and areas and drivers, which doesn't seem super helpful to me, but if you look along the bottom, the different locations, these different areas are down along the bottom. So if you live in South Glenwood, here are the different places. And so meal distribution will happen at the Hideout at 11:10 or at Cardiff Glen at 11:30. And you can see that that's the exact address of where that meal drop-off will be happening. So definitely make sure to click along the bottom to figure out where exactly and at what time meals are being distributed. And you can also use that map to see those drop-off locations. It would be great if all parents could log into Infinite Campus with their student and just double check that their student schedule looks like it's supposed to. Make sure that your student is taking a math class, a science class, social studies, English, maybe fine arts, maybe phys ed. And if they're a junior or a senior, they might not be taking everything. They might have met their graduation requirements in one subject or another. But please make sure that you're having a good conversation with your student and making sure that their schedule is what it's supposed to be. If you are a parent who's new to the Roaring Forks School District, you probably do not have a portal account yet, and so you need to email Shirley Faulkner at shirley@rfschools.com, and she will be able to send you instructions on how to set up your portal account, as well as sending you your activation code that you need. For students, they're able to log into the student portal just using their RFSD username and password. And if you're ever looking for how you can access the parent portal, you can always go to the Glenwood Springs High School website, and there's a little button that says Parent Portal, and you can click on that, and it will take you to where you need to go. When you do look at your schedule with your student, you look at your student's schedule, and you realize that there are changes that need to be made, please do not email your counselor. They are a little overwhelmed and inundated with emails at this point in time. What we would like you to do is use this link. So you're going to click on it, and it's a Google form about schedule changes. So your student should fill this out. What's their email address? What's their name, grade, counselor? What are the changes? Why, etc. And once they fill out this form, their counselor will be able to get back to them about whether that schedule change is possible or not. When you picked up materials this week, you should have gotten a form with your address, your cell phone numbers, your email addresses, and we asked you to take a look at it and make sure that everything was correct, and we asked you to make changes. We are in the process of inputting all those changes into Infinite Campus, but I would say give us a week, 2 weeks, give us a little bit of time. But if those changes don't reflect in Infinite Campus within the next week or two, or you're realizing, hey, I'm not getting any cell phone communication from the school, I'm not getting any email communication from the school, or I'm just not getting any communication from the school in general, then go ahead and fill out this form, which will allow us to update your information in Infinite Campus as accurately as possible. So you'll submit an email address. It's not going to let me go on until you do that, but it asks for, are we updating parent information or student information? Are we adding cell phone numbers, etc.? And so just try to give us as much detail as possible. And you can always email Shirley again, shirley@rfschools.com, and she can help you out. She is a saint and takes on a lot of work and helps us maintain lines of communication with families. It turns out that during a global pandemic, especially one where you're not supposed to really hang out with your friends, and there's a 29,000 acre wildfire nearby, and then a new one pops up, not only are a lot of us adults, I think, struggling socially and emotionally, but a lot of our students are struggling socially and emotionally. And so we have a lot of resources here for you. The first one I want to click on is Safe to Tell. If your student feels like a friend of theirs, a peer of theirs is really not doing well, maybe their home life is challenging right now, maybe they're just really struggling emotionally and you're not sure about their safety or well-being, or there's substance abuse issues, or there's bullying issues, your student can either text Safe to Tell, or they can go to Safe to Tell. And it is an anonymous submission, and there's no way for us to go back and track who submitted that request. So any concerns really about the welfare, health, safety, whether it's mental or physical, of our students, please encourage students to submit on Safe to Tell, but adults can as well. So if you hear a conversation between your kiddo and their friend and you're really concerned about that friend, adults are welcome to submit concerns on Safe to Tell as well. There's a Family Resource Center, which contains a lot of different resources for families who are struggling. This is a podcast on mind shift, which you might find helpful if you or your student is struggling mentally. There's some information about teen mental health that I think can be really valuable for parents. And then Aspen Hope Center, Mind Springs, and USON are just resources in the Valley. They're organizations that really help support the mental and physical health of our students. And you are always welcome to reach out to your student's counselor, or your student is welcome to reach out to their counselor and say, hey, I'm struggling, I need some help. And that's what our counselors are there for. They're amazing people. And you might be saying, hey, how do I know who my counselor is? Miss Warren is the counselor for student last names A through G. Miss Kochevar is the counselor for students with last names H through O. And Miss Pittenger is our counselor for students with last names P through Z. You can find their email addresses pretty easily on our website, so feel free to go to the Glenwood Springs High School website. Mr. Freeman is our building principal. Mr. Engel and Miss Rowe are our two assistant principals. If your student's last name is A through L, Mr. Engel is there to support your student and your family. And if you have questions or concerns, you're welcome to reach out to him. Similarly, Miss Rowe supports our students and families whose last names begin with M through Z. Okay, so some important things to share with you. This is the red-white calendar for the entire school year. I highly, highly, highly recommend printing this out in color, if you can, so that your student knows any day that they have school, what day is it? Is it a red day and I have my 4 red day classes, or is it a white day and I have my 4 white day classes? If your student or you have dealt with Glenwood Springs High School before, you probably think that the school year starts on a red day. Maybe you haven't noticed. But this year it's starting on a white day. And the reason for that is we came up with our red-white schedule before this orientation week was put in place. So Monday, the 24th, is a white day. Your student will start with W1 class on Monday, August 24th. White day. But really, I highly, highly recommend printing it out and having it in a super easily accessible place for your student. In either a distance learning or hybrid learning model, Wednesday will always be a distance learning day. And that means that on Wednesdays, students will always be participating in classes remotely in both distance and hybrid models. Classes are still happening, even if we are in a hybrid model on Wednesdays, classes still happen. We just will not be having students in the buildings. One point of confusion for many parents is what their students' daily schedule will look like. And so this is the online and hybrid daily schedule for students. And actually, I should clarify, this is really the daily schedule for teachers. So teachers have planning, teachers have protected time. What students have are classes, first, second, third, and fourth hour. So your student's day begins with synchronous classes starting at 8:30. And your student's day ends with synchronous classes ending at 12:15. And then they should expect to have homework in the afternoons that they will have 3 hours to work on or something along those lines. But they will be doing some asynchronous work outside of the hours from 8:30 to 12:15. But you should expect your students to be engaging in online classes live with their teachers from 8:30 to 12:15. On Wednesdays, we have this additional fact that we have our crew meetings on Wednesdays from 8:10 to 8:30. How are students expected to connect to class? Well, they should start by looking at that red-white calendar to know whether it's a red day or a white day. They should know what their schedule is. So they can either log into the Infinite Campus app or online to see what classes they have that day. Or I do highly recommend just printing your student's schedule so that they can always easily reference it and say, today is a white day, and I know that W1 I have AP Calculus with Hartman, and so I'm going to make sure that I start my day at 8:30 by joining AP Calculus with Hartman. We suggest that they log into Schoology early, around 8 or 8:15, so that they can kind of get their head in the game, figure out what they need to be doing that day, because classes will start promptly at 8:30. And they should look in each class in Schoology to find out where their links are located. So I'm actually going to quick pull up my Schoology for 1 second and just show you what a class might actually look like. And teachers have individual preferences, but they all should look relatively similar. So if I look at this W1 Calc class that I have, you will notice that the first thing I have here is this class Google Meet link. So at 8:30 a.m. on white days, my students are going to come here. They're going to just click on that image, and it's going to take them to the Google Meet for my calculus class. And so that is going to be something that is super crucial and helpful for kids. The other thing is that there will be lesson materials, and how teachers organize this is entirely up to them in some ways. But this is where students should be able to see their week at a glance. What are the things that I'm going to have to do for calculus this week? What are the assignments, the assessments? What materials do I need? And they'll be able to find that on those Schoology pages. Some really important norms that we could use your support with in just ensuring that your students understand what is expected of them and what their expected behaviors are. Attendance will be taken every day. If they are not in the live online class for 45 minutes, they will be marked absent. So they need to be there for the 45-minute class period, and attendance is taken every day. They need to be on time to class, and we even highly suggest showing up about 3 minutes early so that they can log in, they can say hi to their teacher, they can get their water out, whatever they need. Students need to dress appropriately. They need to wear shirts, they need to wear pants, not necessarily pants, but a skirt, something, right? They need to be clothed. And I would say not in their pajamas, right? Students should wake up, they should put on some clothes, they should get ready and put their game face on. We do want students to leave their cameras on during all Google Meets. It's a way for teachers to be able to connect to them, for teachers to be able to see their students' faces. It just allows for a little bit more of a more personal connection. It is really important that students take their cell phones and that they put them out of arm's reach. When a cell phone is right there next to a student, or next to me, even personally, it's really tempting to pick it up. And we don't want students doing that, and we don't want them distracted from their learning. Students need to mute their mic when they're not talking. And so we don't want a ton of noise in our classes. We want to make sure that we're having conversations, discussions, explanations that are really easy to follow. And so that means that people need to be quiet. It is inappropriate for students to take pictures of or videos of teachers or students during Google Meets or during breakout rooms. So your student shouldn't be having their phone up, taking pictures because Miss Hartman was taking a drink of her water bottle and just looks ridiculous and her screen is frozen, right? We don't want that happening. And so helping students remember that they are not to take photos of videos of teachers or students during Google Meets. A practice that I think is not in our students' repertoire at this point in time is they don't tend to check their school emails, and they definitely don't do it daily. Our students need to check their school emails and their Schoology accounts on a daily basis. Teachers will be sharing Google Docs, they'll be sharing calendar invites, they'll be sharing important information, and students need to check their school email and Schoology sites on a daily basis. And the last important norm is that students should go to the bathroom during the breaks between classes. If you remember that schedule, students have 15 minutes between every single class. That's plenty of time to go to the bathroom. If a student is in class and they turn their mic and their video off and they leave for 10 minutes and come back, going to the bathroom isn't really an acceptable reason. They had plenty of time. And we have limited instructional time with them. We only have 45 minutes every other day. They need to be in class. They need to be paying attention. If you have any questions, please feel free to email. You can email Miss Rowe, you can email Mr. Engel, you can email Mr. Freeman, and let us know what we can do to help support you during this challenging time. But we really appreciate you, and we're pretty excited for the start of this school year. Thank you so much.